Check your text too, Rock.
I saw it. I just looked at it. Yeah.
All right.
We now want to get the Instagram up. Oh no, don't tell me Instagram. I somehow don't see it. That is not good. I don't know where I got rid of it. So I'll get it up during the intro. So anyway. Welcome. Not welcome. Sorry, why'd I say that? Hello. It's your boy, the Beast One. Welcome to Dad Mentality Podcast. Today we got a great show for you all today. I have the very own Lady K from Lady K Wellness joining us again. And we're going to talk about, our personal journeys as we travel through life and going through everything and how we have changed and become better people. But the biggest question is, when you start that journey, how do you reintroduce yourself to the world? And that's what we're going to talk about here on Dad Mentality. Y'all know what it is. It's Dad Mentality.
What is Dad's mentality? What it is? The mentality of taking care of family. As a man, I get lonely. I can't even call my homies, but I answer every call when my kids call me. I'll be there when they need me. They depending on me. They looking up to me. Sometimes we gotta fix our mental. Or maybe it's not meant to be a dad, a father, that's what men do. I made a promise to my kids, that's what I do. I just want them to do things better than I do. Or better yet, better things that I did. What is Dad's mentality? What it is? The mentality of taking care of family. As a man, I get lonely. I can't even call my homies, but I answer every call when my kids call me. I'll be there when they need me. They depending on me. They looking up to me. Welcome to the show, shout out to the coach. And Maddie Ice Cold Crypto. And each one, teach one. That's mentality. We just try to reach one. What is that's mentality?
Hello. It's your boy, the Beast One. Welcome to Dad Mentality Podcast. I'm so glad today that we get to join y'all another week. I got some great things in store today. Today, I definitely am excited to have the very own Lady K, Kendra Smith, a.k.a. she is a wife. She is a mom. She's an entrepreneur. I can't even say the word. She is a woman of God. She's a fitness and wellness trainer. I know because she trained me. She's a great friend and just a person that I'm just happy that together when we met each other back in college, I never would have thought this journey would get us to this place that we both are at now, and I'm excited to have her here. It's our very own Lady K. What's going on, Lady K? How you doing today?
Up? Good evening. How are you? What's up, folks? How are you?
What's good? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, I'm super excited to have you here. And as y'all know, I don't do this by myself. Unfortunately, I'm not very happy to announce him now as my co-host because this whole week he's been bashing me and trading on me about my Commanders. So before we get into that hatred that he's gonna go ahead and spew, and then what to make it worse, I knew when I invited Lady K over here, who's a Cowboys fan, that she would be happy to endorse or help anything that he has to say. But I still love him to death. We've been together since we was 4 years old, playing in a sandbox. Now we do a podcast together. Is my man Vance Robs, aka Coach. What's going on, Vance? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Shout out to Imperfectly Perfect. That's also known as Wendy Chills, correct? No, let me get it. Make sure I say that right. Put that in the Wind Chills. That's right. Wind Chills. Yeah. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna show y'all how God works, because we was planning on having this show before you and Wind Chills went live and did your podcast about the what was it called? What's the name
Woman
of it?
Evolve.
Woman Evolve in Atlanta, Georgia. Let me tell you something, y'all. If you haven't checked out that podcast and that link, do me a favor, check it out, because that joint was amazing. Is one of the reasons why I was so excited and had to change the whole show up when you got here, because I watched that episode and you and her were amazing together. I'm hoping that it will spark some more podcasts just like that with you two. I think it was a great show. I think y'all chemistry together was amazing. And just the things that y'all talked about was amazing. Imperfectly Perfect, if you could please put the link in the comments for that, so that we can the people who are there can also check it out. But we're gonna get into this week's show, and as y'all know, the first thing we do is we do our mental health check-in, where we talk about the things that we're looking forward to this week. We give a rating from 0 to 10. So if you are in the comments, please give your rating from 0 to 10. Let us know how you're feeling this week, where you are at this week, and and what you're looking forward to going on this week. Coach, I'm gonna get you started because I still got to get the Instagram up. But I'm gonna get you started while I work on that. You can tell us how you feeling, all right?
Yeah, I mean, my week is still been I'm still in the valley right now. So, you know what I'm saying, working my way up the hill. You know what I mean? So it's I've slipped, I fell over the last week. You know what I'm saying? Went to, you know what I'm saying, didn't slip and fall in the valley as much as I did the weeks prior. But definitely, you know what I'm saying, still trying to climb out of a valley that, you know what I mean, that I'm going through right now. You know what I mean? But I know trusting in God is going to get me where I need to be. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know what I'm saying, mentally it's been still a tough week. You know what I'm saying? I've still been going through a lot of things personally, at work, all of that stuff. So, you know what I mean, gotta continue to, you know what I mean, trust that I'm on the right path right now. So
Okay. All right. You said you don't have much you're looking forward to this week?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? There were some good things over the past week. My daughter competed in her first equestrian event yesterday. She did really good in the 3 categories. I mean, she got in first in 1 category, third in the other 2. And for her first event, you know what I'm saying, it was really, really good. You know what I mean? So that was, you know what I'm saying, kind of a decent end to the week. You know what I mean? Great end to the week, to be honest with you. So that was a good thing. And then, you know what I'm saying, the upcoming week is you know what I'm saying, I can't worry about the future right now. I just gotta take it day by day, address the issues on the day, and you know what I'm saying, kind of keep pushing forward each day with just my personal growth and, you know what I'm saying, my faith. So that's all.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let me go into my week. I say right now, previous week I've been up there 8s, this, that, and other. I'm still pretty high, but a little bit down a little bit. I'll give it a 7 right now. I still feel that I'm not, I'm not in the valley, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on top of the things that I was at. So I'm excited about that. Things I got coming up, it's still the same things. I'm just excited about my kids, my family, my wife. Oh, my wife has some great opportunities. Speaking of my wife, she is in the comments. My wife got some great opportunities that are coming up with her and her practice. If y'all don't know, follow my Yoga Bay is what I call her, but she is on hers is the Zenden 80 on all platforms. You can definitely check her out. I know she's going to have some things coming up. But if you want to catch up her yoga, you can find her at Allentown Swim on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 o'clock and get your yoga on. So, if y'all are interested in the area, come check it out. But other than that, I'm pretty good. I got some things that I'm working through personally that, I'm excited about getting through and getting to the next part. I've started to come with God. When God puts these things in front of me, I kind of know that, the valley don't last that long. You know what I'm saying? When you're in it, it seems like you're there forever, but it really don't last that long. So, I always try to make sure I hold on to the things that when I'm at the top that can keep me focused on getting back there. So, it's just something that we say there. Make sure you drop how you feel and whether you are from 0 to 10 in the comments, let us know. Lady K, where you at from 0 to 10? I mean, if it was because the Cowboys beat the Commanders, you should be at a 10, but
that was just wonderful. It's like our mini Super Bowl. I would say I'm at a 6 or 7. Really been struggling the past week or so. I'm a federal employee, so furloughed, but I am one of those, I try to make light of it because can't do anything else but laugh instead of crying. One of those lucky winners where I get to work for free. So I still have to go in, but I don't get paid. So it's been tugging. At first I was, I came out the gate, I was good. And it's been trying to weigh on me, personally, but I've been working through it. I'll talk about a few of those things later, but I've been working through it. So I'm getting there. Not a 10, but strong 6.5, 7.
All right. Do you got something you're looking forward to? What you got coming up? Anything coming up?
My birthday's coming up. So my birthday's coming up in a few weeks. So I'm excited about that. I'm always excited about my birthday. So if anybody knows me, I like to celebrate all month long. This year is going to be dumbed down a little bit, a whole lot, since I ain't getting paid. I gotta be responsible. But I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to a couple of new things I have coming up with the business that going to be dropping next month as well. So
okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting. So today's topic that we're going to talk about is how do I reintroduce myself to the world? Now, throughout this podcast, my journey in the last couple of years of doing this, if you've watched this podcast since day one, you'll see the transformation. We started this podcast and it was, we had drinking and smoking. We'd do all kinds of stuff. It was more just based on dads just cutting it up or this, that, and the other. And then there's been the transformation where I became a lot closer to God. I became closer and more in tune with myself, learning that these things are not the real me and not the things that I wanted to keep on portraying. And a lot of that is thanks to Coach. I will give him his credit as well. And I just want to give a little background. And me and Kendra have known each other since college. And let's just say in college, I'll talk for myself. Let's just say in college, I may have been doing a lot of things that, that wasn't godly. And really up until like January of this year, I would say that I definitely relied on alcohol more than God. I definitely felt like these things were, that was my identity at one point in my life. My identity at one point in my life was that I can drink you under the table. And I was willing to show you anytime, huh?
You was the plug.
Yeah. I was definitely willing to show you.
We can laugh about it now. We've grown, but
so, like I said before this, I wanted to bring Lady K on here. One, because I wanted to also thank her, because during the time of me, I trying to lose weight to go skydiving, this, that, and other, she offered her services to me, punished me. I think a lot of it was get back for those times in college, because sometimes it felt like the workouts were a little too personal and making me work a lot harder than, I felt normal trainers would have, but the reasons
not.
were 10. That wasn't it.
That was not it.
All right. Well, that's just still my impression. But during that time, I realized that Kendra was definitely changing. That she wasn't the same person that of course was in college. That was in college, and of course, I feel like we all have changed, and I definitely feel like right now in this moment, the world is in a moment of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people doing things in transformation. My wife said that Kendra was working on turning me into BBL Rodney.
That's what you said.
I did, because I was definitely sore from the workouts.
Yeah.
He said, "What's up, sis, Lady K?" So
you were sore, but the first day you go ahead and tell the truth and shame the devil. You was throwing up. You were throwing up.
Yes, yeah, because I had drunk the night before, and I don't remember why I drunk the night before. Was it
you were
because I was
celebrating your daughter?
Yeah,
You celebrate
my daughter.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that shows you how much of a workout she had me in there throwing up, coach. So back in the day, is my coaches used to say, if you ain't throwing up, you ain't working out.
You ain't working. That's how I was in track practice.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean, I always thought if you throwing up, you just ain't in shape.
Probably that too.
It might have been a mixture of that. So anyway, initially bringing you in was to work me out and get me to that point. But even just seeing you, having the conversations with you, watching you work out, and just watching you help me work out, and I could just tell from there that you were serious about you, and serious about the change, and serious about the things that you were doing. And and I was impressed. Now, when I watched that episode with you in Imperfectly Perfect, it really showed me that I was like, okay, this I like this. Like, I really want people to know that this change in these things that you're doing, that it's being noticed. You know what I'm saying? It's being seen. Now, I do want to say this: that episode, I'm a male going in to support Kendra, because Kendra supports me. And I was like, I'm going to watch this, but I wasn't really looking like, okay, this is going to be a female thing. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a female thing. They're going to talk about how much their husbands act up or something like that. Very similar to what people think when they come to watch my show. They think, oh, it's a bunch of dudes. They're just going to talk about how much they hate women or this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. So, but I was thoroughly impressed by the conversation and how much I related to the conversation. So just to get in there, I said all that because I do want to show a few minutes from the conversation, and and I hope that Wind Chills doesn't hit me with a lawsuit for using her content. But I thought it was something that was a great moment in the show for me. And like I said, now I'm messing it up. I had it on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and play it. I probably gotta let it play for a couple minutes, but this was something that was impactful for me. So
and then the two ladies that was sitting next to us, one of them was slain. They was down. They was it was the whole row was gone. I had a whole puddle at my feet. I was like, why is all this water down here? I was dehydrated. It was a mighty, mighty move of God. And I think that was like the high moment for me, the highest moment. I would say that the challenging moment was I have a hard time getting out of my head and my thoughts and overthinking and playing stories in my head that ain't happened yet and talking myself out of things and stuff like that. So I think that was the challenging part, was like picking and pulling that. Bishop Shoel had talked about that as well, as far as God needing me to die to myself so that he can use me for the purpose that he has. And I am not my thoughts. And so that thought of being unworthy, that thought of knowing what, things I've done in my past that were not of Christ, and this, that, and the third, and I'm not, I'm not qualified for this or that. The visions and the things that I want to do as far as my health and wellness business, and then feeling not adequate or not enough because, you get on IG and you start looking at other people who's doing the things that you thought that you wanted to do. And then it's like, oh, you're, again, in my head. And I think that was the challenging moment for me was, letting go of the bondage of my thoughts. Ooh. And allowing God to use me. And the visions that he has for me or that he has placed in me, I need to trust him to allow that to manifest and get out of my own way. So that was, I would think, the most challenging part for me for the week was just getting to that point of letting go.
All right. So for me, that was the best summed up version of how I felt. And I want to let you know that I think a lot of people go through that moment, that time where you're where you got to let go, like you said, the bondage of your thoughts. So I wanted you to go more into that today. Tell us more about what you had to do because a lot of people know I've done a show. It was called Rodney versus the Beast One. And that was me destroying the old me, the old persona that I pretty much had created to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? And for you to say that part, and just listening to you talk about that the bondage of your thoughts, can you explain more about that journey for you?
I think I'm still in the journey, but it's definitely been a long road for me and a lot of therapy. There has been a lot of things that I have gone through in my adulthood that after therapy, after digging into the root of some things and that stem from my childhood that I now do as an adult stem from something that happened to me as a child, right? I'm the only girl. I'm the youngest of four. And there was always a pressure, I would say, on me growing up where my brothers seemed like they had options. I didn't have options. You're going to college. You're doing this, you're doing that. And the expectation of me excelling and doing all the things, not wanting to let my parents down, not wanting to disappoint them, spilling over into my adulthood, realizing people pleasing, making sure people like me, making sure I'm doing the right things to gain friends and keep friends. And even when it's time for me to, when I started the business and I had the vision and I had, God placed it in my heart of what it is that I was to do, I started and I was excited. And then it was like, oh, but I need this. Oh, but I can't do this. And then I jumped on IG and I'm like, oh, well, this person's doing this. This person's doing that. And I had a life coach, one of my life coaches that I have, she basically, we were having a session and she basically told me, she was like, the industry doesn't have you. They have coaches, they have this, yes, but they don't have a you. Whatever you're bringing to the table is different. And so I was still struggling in my head of, all right, how do I make myself stand out? How do I make myself different? How do I, and doing all of that, I was missing the true calling of what God wanted me to do. And that's help people. And so there were times where that people would come up to me. It wasn't on social media. So my mind was social media, but there were people coming up to me outside of social media, at church, at work, and just asking for tips and tricks and advice and help. And so then I realized that I was missing the mark and I was mismanaging what God had placed on me because I was in my head thinking, overthinking. And it's not just the business, it's I overthink in my life altogether. I think I mentioned it on that particular podcast where, and I don't know if I'm the only one, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but even in my marriage, like I overthink things. Like there's a conversation me and my husband need to have, and I didn't have the whole conversation in my head before we even spoke any words to each other. And so it's all over my life, but I'm reining it in. And now I'm at a point where, because I've identified and I am aware and I'm cognizant of the triggers and I'm cognizant of you're in your head, you're overthinking, I immediately identify it, snatch it up. And, if I have to go into prayer or just redirect my thoughts. And as the Bible says, keep your mind stayed on him. I have to constantly, Kendra, stop. You're overthinking. Even at work, things like that. It's God has been opening doors at work that probably shouldn't have been opened or whatever. Well, no, they should have been, because it was for God. But I've gained a new position where I went from a project manager to a director in a matter of one interview. And that's at where I work. It's 4 levels, unheard of, not your norm. And it all happened the beginning of this year when our president came into office and was shutting things down and not, it's about to do a hiring freeze and all of that. Literally went from a project manager to a director of a whole entire division of 35 people under me. And had I known that that's what I was applying for, again, being in my head, I wouldn't have applied for it. So God has a way of maneuvering around me because he knows me, and like, she ain't gonna do it if she got to think about it, she ain't gonna do it. So he opened the door for me. And even now, being in the position, I'm now working on staying out of my head, staying humble, but doing the job because he gave me the opportunity to do the job. So I would say I'm not completely like, oh, I found the remedy. It is a constant daily walk with God and a daily walk and talk with myself of steering my thoughts in the right direction and making sure that I am not sabotaging what he has for me. And I think a lot of it's self-sabotage and we don't even realize it. But it is a daily choice. It is just like when people, a daily choice to eat healthy, a daily choice to exercise, a daily choice to not drink or what have you. It is a daily choice, a thought by thought process of a choice to redirect any negative thoughts or thoughts that are not in alignment with what you already know God told you to do. So it's a daily chore. But now that I'm aware of it, I have no choice but to grab hold of it and to redirect it.
Therapy is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I mean, I had a similar thing in therapy where, like I've openly discussed that I've had abandonment issues. Mm-hmm. And, it's still something that I still struggle with. Every time that I think I still take, now I'm getting better at taking my 3 steps forward and not 5 steps back. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm definitely working on it. But I definitely think that getting to the root of it is powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Getting to the root of what's going on with you is really, to me, it was empowering, and it really helped me understand why I make these decisions. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it made it so that I knew that I can now not make this decision. Like, just like I made the decision to go get a bottle, I can make a decision not to go get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's definitely something that I think is amazing. And then also the other thing that you mentioned is being in your brain about it. Mm-hmm. Coach, did you have anything you wanted to add, or did you hear anything that that maybe you relate on?
I mean, I definitely on the journey that I'm on right now. I think that you know what I'm saying. What you guys are saying is definitely helping me. I am probably in the middle of that journey, with collecting my thoughts and all of that stuff, and you know what I mean. Still, you know what I'm saying. You kind of think you're on the right path until your path is shaken, right? And then once it's shaken, it kind of makes you. I'm still looking internally trying to get to that root cause, right? Or the root issue, you know what I mean? And God is good because you know what I'm saying. He's been keeping me. I know He's there. I see signs that He's there. You know what I mean? And it's just all it's doing is strengthening my faith. You know what I mean? And who I
Mhm.
am. So, um, and don't get it twisted. I don't lack confidence. You know what I'm saying? In any other manner. But you know what I mean, there were some things that God wants me to address, and I'm still trying to discern what those things are.
Yeah.
So
Or
Mm.
I think
I
we
know
all
one of
still
the
are.
things that, yeah, I think one of the things that we hear in the Bible of all the time is, God won't put more on us that we can handle. And I think a lot of times we misinterpret that,
hmm
or we look at that as He not gonna put nothing on us. Oh, that doesn't mean you're not gonna have hard times. That doesn't mean you're not gonna go through stuff. But it goes back to the podcast that you all did last week, I believe, or when the wives were on and you talked about the umbrella. You gotta realize that He's not going to give you anything more than that's going to break you, but it is to strengthen you. And to go back, like Rodney, with the training, the strength training that we did, we started off with 10s, and it's like, all right, now we at the end of the week pick them 20s up. So
hmm
it's like you have to keep building your strength. You have to keep building your faith. But you're not going to do that if you don't go through anything. And I was just joking with somebody at church Sunday, because I was like, yeah, I don't pray for patience, because then you're going to get obstacles that's going to make you wait. So I'm very specific on what I pray for. He still give me stuff that tests my patience and build my patience. But it's like, you have to go through things. And I'm speaking straight up from experiences. Like, when you're in the storm, you're like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. But then after it feels like, oh, okay. But then you realize the next storm, you're able to handle it a little bit better because of what you went through previously, or at least
yeah,
learn from what you went through previously to kind of give you a little bit more strength and a little bit more knowledge to make it through the next one.
yeah. I definitely think that you know what I'm saying. And when it is difficult to see. We always try to kind of fix it ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of see what the end outcome is going to be before it actually happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yep.
I think that along my journey, things always had to be calculated. Things always there always had to be a path to it. It didn't really bother me if the path was hard or easy, right? You know what I mean? As long as
Mm-hmm.
I saw the path, right?
Gotcha.
And I think that honestly, there's only been a couple times probably in my life where I haven't been able to see the path. And the good thing about it is I got a pretty strong foundation. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still tough when you're in storms, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So and you know what I mean? It's just certain things that have been, you know what I'm saying, spoken, certain things when you pray, you don't you hear answers, but you kind of are like, yeah, that's not how this is looking though, right now. You know what I mean? It ain't looking that way, you know what I mean? And it
Mm-hmm.
ain't feeling that way, and is it really going to be that way, right? But
Yeah.
you really got to just stand on your faith and kind of, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, push through as much as you can. So I get what y'all are saying. So but the dying to self is definitely something that I've been working on, and I still have a lot of things that I gotta correct and kind of fix. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing I got out of that dying to self and what you just said about the path and sometimes not knowing is there's a lot of times where God is going to send you through some things that you can't handle, you can't fix, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
meant for you to fix because he's supposed to get the glory. If you fix it, then you're going to get the glory, and that's not what it
Mm-hmm.
was meant for. And so the harder the obstacle, and like you said, when you said you can't see the path, it's like if you don't see the outcome, you don't see how this is going to work, you don't see how it's going to be fixed, it's because God is supposed to be fixing it, not you.
Yeah.
And I know me struggle with that because it's like control freak, want to be able to project manage and, but it's like, this is a God thing. And it's hard to sit back and let God be God. It's like, we always joke, Jesus take the wheel, but you side seat driving too, braking and everything else, trying to do it's like we say it, but it's a whole nother level when you actually let him take the wheel and just like, you know, actually drive. And another thing you said was when you were just talking, it really made me think of this quote of Martin Luther King. It says, faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And it's like, it's building your faith when you have that path that you, like you said, you start off, you seeing it, but then you don't see what's coming next. That really made me think of that quote.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you gotta have faith. You know what I mean? You gotta prove to God that you're gonna have that faith, right? You know what I mean? And in all honesty, it doesn't. And me and Rodney talked about this before. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know what I'm saying. The outcome is gonna necessarily be what you expect,
That's
right?
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think at times it's kind of like it's a struggle to that is your true testament of faith, right? So if the outcome that you expected doesn't happen, then you really are going to look to God and be like, hey, you guys show me what's going on because you told me this,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what I mean? You told me that, hey, I know you told me because you was clear on it. You know what I mean? And these outcomes are
Mm-hmm.
steadily pointing in the opposite direction, and the outcome didn't happen that you told me was going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what's really going on?
Yeah.
So,
Whew.
um, it's that's where it kind of gets tough. I remember thinking back, when I had a job at a retail company, and I remember God telling me that, hey man, everything's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And I lied to you not, probably 3 or 4 weeks before I was about to give in, I ended up getting a new job, right?
Look at
And
God.
I was really about to give in, you know what I mean? Like just roll and just figure it out from there. And it was amazing how everything kind of lined up. And that's kind of what I'm kind of leaning on right now in this particular valley, is that whatever he's trying to get me to learn, obviously, one, I haven't learned it yet, you know what I mean? And two,
Yeah.
it's gonna be, when it's all said and done, it's gonna be completely beautiful, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So um
Yep.
but to your point, I think that when you were talking about your thoughts is key, because those can sometimes alter the path, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that is a struggle that a lot of people have, right? You know what I
Yep.
mean? That I remember I was talking to, you know what I'm saying, my wife a couple weeks back, and it was just a matter of capturing your thoughts, right? You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the age we are right now. I mean, men
Yep.
go through midlife crisis, women go through perimenopause, menopause, all that stuff. And just us
Mm-hmm.
capturing our thoughts and not creating situations that don't need to be created,
Yep.
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. So it's just that's it.
Nah, you're good. So yeah, I mean, there's a few things that I wanted to talk about quickly that y'all already mentioned, and one is is, and Kendra mentioned it in that clip, and that is killing, dying to yourself or killing yourself, basically.
Dying to
That's how I
yourself.
put it. Well, this is how I put it, you know, because I had to kill that other personality. I had to kill the beast one. Now, don't get me, you know, I still say that, you know, you can't fully kill him because, you know, sometimes people test you. But, you know, it's still, but for the most parts of the things that I used to do, I had to kill. Like I had to, you know, stop using alcohol as my crutch. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like that was like one of the huge things for me personally. And I really feel, and I know God put me through the journey to do that. You know what I'm saying? And put these things in my life to make it so that I would get rid of those, just you know, basically die to those things.
It's your testimony though. Like you can't help someone else if you don't go through it. So you definitely have a testimony
Yeah.
of
I
where
mean,
you've been.
so now going to that, it's about introducing your new self, the new Kendra, or the so for me, I had what I call two different personas. Like one is actually me, and one is a persona. A persona is something that I created to protect myself, and I feel that a lot of people do that, especially like you said, it's something that was a lot of times created in your childhood. You know what I'm saying? And you've been deep in that childhood persona for so long that you don't even remember who you was. Now, I don't know if that was what it was like for you, but for me, you know, that's what it was like for me. Because when the real Rodney did come out, and of course, the real Rodney did come out during times my kids saw the real Rodney. They rarely saw the Beast one. You know what I'm saying? And my wife, well, she'll say she saw the Beast one a lot more than she saw the real Rodney. But the real Rodney had to be there at some point in time. But you know, it's still, you know, for me, it's these personas that we build as children, and we have to eventually take them and get rid of them and trust in God over all the other things that you built. Was that what it was like for you, or how did that I guess, like I said, I'm using the reference killing that persona. How was that change made for you?
I think, like I said, I'm still going through it, but there definitely was. I think one particular thing that I identified through therapy, full transparent moment, that my dad was, it was the things that he instilled in me when I was young. Again, only girl, baby girl. Like I said, youngest of four. And to put it in perspective, me and my oldest brother are 20 years apart. So huge difference, right? And my dad always, he would tell me, you know, growing up when I was younger, little, you know, if I can't get it for you, if we can't get it for you, you don't need a man for anything. You don't need a man to get you anything. Or if you can't get it for yourself, then you just wait until you got enough to get it. You know, that type of thing. Yeah, dad, got you. Roger that. Heard it often, right? It even got to the point where, but it was that, and then also seeing how my dad was when somebody owed him something, like owed him money or something, and it was just like, oh no, yeah, I need my money, like, you know, just to see how he would go off, right? And so seeing that, and also hearing that, and him churning that in me, not realizing, not understanding it until, like I said, adulthood, much later, recently, past few years in therapy, revealing like it. I knew it was there. I never connected the dots. Where I would go through life dating my son's father, now husband, where I would often get, you never ask me for anything. What I need to ask you for something for? You never let me buy you, you never let me, and I was just like, what? Like, I remember when me and my husband was dating, I was like, I don't need you for anything but love and affection. Like, I'm on house, I got this, I got that. Like, I don't like, I just need your love. And so that, not realizing, thank God my husband is a strong man, and he's like, all right, whatever. Keep it pushing. All right, good. Yeah, okay. But most men would be like, all right, well, fine, bye. But me not realizing where it stemmed from. And it wasn't that I was being malicious and saying that I didn't need you. I didn't know how to ask for anything. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to ask for, not saying, oh, I need my bills paid or something like that. Just simple things of, like, even now with my business, I'm learning how to network, and coming off of that childhood wound, peeling that back of, it's okay to ask for help or assistance. It's okay to, or like when people offer something, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Realizing I needed that, whatever it is that they were offering, but I never could bring myself to ask for it. Why? Because of the trauma, the root, windshield, the root cause of that. And it was not a major, it may not seem major as like, oh, I was molested or something like that.
Yeah.
But even still, it has blocked me over the years because of not realizing it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to ask for assistance, and it is okay. It's not, oh, no, you're not begging. No, you're not, that type of things. That was just one example that through therapy, peeling back the layers of me, understanding why I am the way that I am now. Like, me and my husband went through this whole thing. He's like, you're always so defensive. And it took me a minute to admit, I was like, no, I'm not being defensive. No, I'm not. But it's still taken me the time and the years to peel back those layers. And why are you so defensive? Why do you always gotta, you're always on guard? And still working through that, still learning, like, okay, when I see it happening, when I see myself getting to that point, or angry or defensive, or not being humble, and being stubborn is two different things, and learning that. So it's like, I'm still morphing and still growing, but again, reintroducing myself now that I am learning these things about me. It is now a new woman that is before you than like the girl that you knew 27, 28 years ago.
Yeah, the girl that, first day of college went and got a belly button ring, but
that was my tongue
no,
pierced.
that was your tongue ring. Sorry, that was Vicky. That was my wife. My bad.
She got her belly button pierced. I got my tongue pierced. Yes, it was being rebellious. It was me breaking out of that prison of a home, as I called it, because again, I was on lockdown. So I was like, oh, college freedom. And so it was alcohol. It was all the things, running from what I thought was prison. Now I'm like, I like home. I like being at home.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a process. It has been a process for me of finding who I am, finding what I love, and doing that. And it doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing. It doesn't have to be what everybody else likes, as long as I know it's me, it's what I like to do, and I know I'm serving the purpose that God has called me to do. Nothing else matters. And so, like when you were saying with working out, I really have a passion for that, and for helping people become their better selves. It was the same reason why I was a college professor for like 11 years. I had amazing professors when I was in college, and I wanted to help people along their educational journey. And when I retired from that, I just changed my model. And so instead of teaching in a college setting, I now have converted that to teaching in health and wellness. Still same passion, but it's just redirected. But again, reintroducing myself. No longer Professor Kendra. It's now Coach. So, and a lot of people not going to understand it. A lot of people is not going to continue to be on your journey as you morph and you grow. And I would love to say that I am proud of you and your transformation, because yes, knowing the Rodney that I knew back in Mason and back in 97, 98, you are not the same person at all. But there is one thing that I would say, two things that you have been consistent with, regardless of the storms that you've been through, regardless of the struggles you've had to endure over the years that I've known you. There's two things that you have been dead consistent on. And that is your love for your wife and you being a father. Out of all the things that has happened, yes, you mentioned you're drinking, you're this, you're that, you're the third. No, I'm not saying that you were a perfect husband. No, I'm not saying you were a perfect father. You were, but you were consistent in those areas, 10 toes down. Like no matter what else was going on, you was riding and dying for Vicky through and through. And your kids, all three of them, through and through. Like, so I don't want you to sell yourself short. Yes, you are reinventing yourself. You have grown so much and you have matured and transformed. But I will say that is one area in your life. You have always been a provider. You have always been a protector, through and through. And that part of you has never wavered, has never changed. It might have been hard from time to time. I don't know complete details, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't been easy, but you have absolutely been husband and father for as long as I've known you. I mean, you and Vicky been together since ever.
Yeah,
ever.
Since drop socks. You know what I'm saying? Since drop socks and Timberlands. We was out there
together since what, middle school? So,
Nah, it wasn't middle school, but close enough. We did know each other in middle school, but it is what you call it. But if we gonna be fully transparent, since my wife is watching, if we are gonna be fully transparent, let me tell you something. My wife was my hardest critic. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, back then as you're going through it, I hated it. But now that I'm through it, I'm happy that she was. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm happy that she was my toughest critic. Because I'll be honest with you, it's because of my wife that gives me the cockiness that I have now about my transformation. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care what anybody else has to say, because if I was able to convince her, then I'll be able to convince anybody, because she was definitely 10 toes down on you ain't changed. You know what I'm saying? She was definitely that, and it's even tougher when it's in, and that's the whole thing why I kind of wanted to have this episode. And when I watched the podcast with you and Wind Chills, that there was a moment where you said I had to reintroduce myself, and I was like, I was just happy that somebody else had to do it too. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we go through this transformation as people, and I believe that people transform whether it's because of God or just maturity level. You know what I'm saying? But then again, there are some people that stay where they are. You know what I'm saying? But I still feel that this transformations in marriage. I feel that every 10 years I talk to my wife, and I just given 10 years as a number, maybe shorter than that. You got to redate. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to redate, because the same woman who used to get excited when I brought her a Snickers ice cream bar does not give a crap about that Snickers ice cream bar now. Exactly. As a mother of 3. So you got to figure out what's new in the relationship and marriage, but then also you change. And I feel that it's also important that as you change, you let people know that you're not the same person, including the people who are really close to you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, so I got a question. Now, I like whenever I have a guest, I always want to go first because when I talk about these things, because I want you to feel free about opening when I ask you the
Mhm.
question. So for me, like I said, when I told my wife that I was changing, she didn't believe me at all. And it became, and it became a point where, and she talked about it, if you watched last week's episode that I aired, it became a point where I was still changing because I wasn't changing for her. Let's get that straight. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I wasn't changing for her. It was a decision that I made. I made that decision to change no matter what because one, God was calling me to do it. And two, we as you build and get that strength and start really, like, I've always had God in my life. I believe that God has been there for me several times in my life, and that's why I'm strong. I'm strong in the things because I made a lot of bad decisions in my youth. So, and the fact that I'm still alive, a lot of those bad decisions were with Coach. I ain't gonna say nothing. But I know he got some other things going on that he got to keep on popping in and out. But a lot of those bad decisions were with Coach. But we definitely had to change. You know what I'm saying? My pastor now even he still talks about the fact that, when me and Vance came into the church, who knows what we had on us, whether it was drugs, we bring our friends, guns, who knows? And that change that I had, once I decided to change and I had to really change because my wife sees every part of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming on this show talking about mental health and this, that, and the other, and then I drink myself into a hole. You know what I'm saying? My wife is watching that. And I think that, for a while it was okay, he's not going, I don't, then it became, well, one, it was what she prayed for. And then when it got there, then she didn't want to believe that it happened. And then she had to go to God because, that was the thing that she had prayed for. Then she didn't want to believe, but then that was on her. And it was that conversation I had with my wife when I told her, I was like, if you don't forgive me, I can't do nothing about that because the forgiveness is you. Like, I can't do, if I could do something today to make you forgive me, I would. Like, you tell me what it is. But the simple fact that I can't do nothing to make you forgive me, you just have to simply choose to forgive me. And it's so crazy that that is such a simple concept that people still fight over it for so long and still hold on to things for so long and don't realize the only reason you're holding on to it is because you're choosing to hold on to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The only reason you're holding on, because that person ain't doing nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? That person ain't even thinking about it. But you gotta go to God and just really choose to change. Now, my next question, and I know you said you're still in the journey, and I don't know if this is even a idea for you, but I know that you have been open in your marriage and things like that. So has that happened with you? Is that something, or, it could be totally the opposite. I know Roderick is a great man like me, as far as husbands, I'll put him in that category too. So, was he excited about the change? Is he excited about it going on now? Do you still feel you have a way to go with it? Where are you at on that part of the process, if you don't mind me asking?
I will say this. So Roderick, my husband, he looks through things through skeptical eyes sometimes. He be like, okay. He might not say nothing, but he like, okay, sure. And he'll sit back and he'll watch. He hasn't really voiced an opinion on change. But he does know, he is looking, he is watching. There are times where, and the reason why I know he'll watching, even though I think he's not paying me any attention. And sometimes he tells me, I'm not paying you no attention. I hear you, but I'm not paying you attention. I will say that I know that he is watching and watching the journey, because there have been times where, like, let's just say I'm sitting here and I'm dogging a cake, or I go to Cold Stone or something and I'm eating something that's just, and then he'll be like, I thought you was on a weight loss journey. I thought you was doing like, and things that I've said, or I thought you were fasting, things like, and it'll just be a pop in and pop out. And I'll be like, I can't say now because I'm like, you right. Yeah, let me go ahead and put this down. Or I'll be like, it's a cheat day. But it's things like that where he may not voice and we may not have a conversation of, hey, babe, I see you're evolving. But he is paying attention because he'll call me out definitely when I'm not doing something I'm supposed to do. I will say I don't think he has fully, he says he supports me. I will say this, but I think, and this is another thing from my childhood that I impressed on him, and an unspoken expectation that I had on my husband. And I couldn't blame him for me expecting something of him that I never voiced to him that I expected, if that makes sense. And it really was having, in my childhood, my parents worked and they were workers. They worked, came home, took care of the house. And my parents were much older, as I mentioned, the gap between me and my siblings. But so my siblings would come, or at least one of them would come when I had events or cheerleading or this, that, and the third. Not really my parents. So I didn't have that support system, rah, rah, rah. I mean, they were happy for me, but they didn't come out to basketball games, football games, cheering and stuff like that. My brothers did. So as I got older and I was doing things, I would expect my husband to come out, like when I ran marathons, half marathons, and I was expecting him to come out or do this, that, and the third. And then I would get mad because he didn't do what in my head I was expecting him to do. And so that there was a moment where I had to realize I'd never spoken to him about the expectation of what I needed. And I think sometimes, and I'm not saying all women, but I think sometimes for me, this woman, there have been times where I have placed and I'm not going to call them unrealistic expectations, but I've placed expectations on my husband and my marriage because of the journey and because of the changes that I'm doing. And I don't even talk to him about the changes, not saying I have to, but then I'm expecting him to move a certain way or accept a certain thing now. And I haven't even had a conversation with him. Like you said, when you're going through something or when you're making a change and reintroducing yourself, you should talk to the people around you. I'm learning now how to do that. And I realize my faults from before where I would change. I would be making changes in my life. And then I'm telling him like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And he's like, well, I didn't know that's what we're doing right now. Okay. So it's like, I can't fault him for not doing something I was expecting him to do and supporting me and things like that. And I did not have the conversation of this is where I am in my life. Because I think I remember once when I first started getting out of the blue, I started getting bookings from Fabletics and Tyson's Corner to come out and teach classes. And I remember calling and I was just like, hey, I got this. Da, 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 da. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And at the time, I'm like, hey, this man didn't even, he not cheering, he not. But I had now taken a step back. I had to realize I had started a whole health and wellness business. I had started all this stuff and was now doing this with Fabletics and stuff. I had not even had a conversation with him about, hey, this is my next journey. But now I'm mad in my head because he ain't cheering for me like I want him to. He don't even know what's going on. He's just like, okay, now she doing this. So I had to realize that it's really important, like what you said, when you are changing, it is absolutely important for having a conversation with the people around you, because they might be thinking, oh, she doing this now. Oh, he doing that now. Or I remember when you used to do this. Like I had a whole blow up with me and my family on when I did a stint of I was vegan, a vegetarian, I should say. It was by choice. And then there was some medical things that happened that caused me to stay in that vegetarian state. And was at an event with, and family around, and it was my grandmother's 95th birthday. And one of my cousins was like, you don't eat this, you don't eat ribs, you don't eat this. And then my brother, he, you don't eat this. We grew up on this. And I was just like, no, I don't. And then I had to keep explaining, no, I don't. Yeah, nope, just doing this. And no, and why? We grew up and da 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 da. And so it was from there I started in my health and wellness practice, when people was like, oh, diabetes and stuff running my family. Because I remember having this conversation at this time with my family. It's like, oh, we grew up eating this, that, and the third. And I'm like, and that's why you look the way you look right now. That's why your blood pressure is high. That because we've been eating that since we've been little. The pig feet, the ribs, all the unhealthy things. And then the first one's, oh, well, diabetes runs in our family. No, the recipes run in our family. We have to be bold enough to make a change. I'm just the one that's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. But it is, like you said, circling back, it is so important to have the conversations with your loved ones, with your friends, about whatever your new journey is, or whatever your path is taking you, because you can't, like you said, expect them to come along with you or support you if they're not even aware of what it is that you're doing. Now, once you tell them and they don't support you, or they're not cheering for you, or what have you, that's a whole nother situation. And okay, they're not meant to go with you. One of the other things that I've learned with reinventing myself and reintroducing myself to others is that not everybody's going to be your cheerleader. There are people who will clap for you, but not everybody's going to be your cheerleader and your supporter. And so you have to be okay with that too, as you are changing, as you are doing what God called you to do and going down the paths that you're going down. You have to be okay with people not agreeing with you, not coming with you. And sometimes, and going back to something that Coach said, sometimes when you're on a journey, and sometimes you don't have to share what you are changing. Sometimes you don't have to share it right away, because there are going to be people who are not going to understand what you're trying to do. They don't understand, and it's not meant for them to understand what God has called you to do. Like, some people may question you about the choices that you've made. Oh, Rodney, well, I remember you used to. Yeah, I did used to, but this is where I am now. Not everybody's going to come with you. Not everybody's going to cheer for you. Not everybody's going to ride for you. And not everybody's going to understand why God called you to do X, Y, and Z. And that's okay too. Not everybody's meant to go with you. And that's been a hard thing for me too.
Yeah, you ain't never lied about that. Trust me. Yeah, I'm going through some stuff right now that, what I'm saying, there's some people that don't need to go through with me on that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not in this moment.
Yeah.
So so it's kind of cutting, what I'm saying, people out that need to be cut out of this particular situation. And truth be told, I think some of the biggest struggle is kind of understanding who those people are, right? And that includes loved ones, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, uh are you really willing to surrender, what I mean, completely to God? And that's kind of the biggest struggle that's happening right now with me. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's it's but your comment of God has to have all the glory in it is definitely, it's resonated with me this evening. So um but and it kind of woke me up to a couple things, you know what I mean, just now. So uh but you know what I'm saying, the journey sometimes is lonely. So and you know what I mean, you gotta deal with that part of it too. You know what I mean? And of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's always distractions, there's always
Yeah.
temptations, there's always all these other things that you got to deal with, you know what I'm saying, in the midst of the storm, right? Because you know what I mean, you just, you know what I'm saying, and in the midst of change, like when You know what I'm saying? Change when it's not yourself is already difficult. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Changing jobs, changing just at work, you know what I mean? Changing life, you know what I'm saying? Just your daily habits is already difficult. But when you start trying to change yourself, that's an internal battle that is, you know what I'm saying, that I'm learning now is a lot harder than what most people think. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Even
So,
like even with the that's one of my biggest things I wrestle with because I always tell myself like I will show up for others to train them and to do things for them, but then I will have my gym bag. There have been days this past week, last week, I had my gym bag on my shoulder and I walk right past the gym and go upstairs. And I'm like, you know, you're supposed to be in there. You have your workout already. But if there was a client in there, I would show up for them.
you would, yeah. And
Show
you
up for
know,
them.
the funny thing is, and me and Rodney have had these conversations in the past couple weeks, you know what I mean? Just talking about like showing up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? A lot of times, you know what I'm saying, we get caught up in life, showing up for everybody else, and I still do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, not showing up for myself is, you know what I'm saying, how you lose yourself. So,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So, and
That's true.
it's definitely something that takes you there. So,
Mm-hmm.
um and I mean, you gotta show yourself some grace. You know what I mean? Because it ain't gonna be easy.
Right.
Um, and so forth. So yeah.
All right. So it's been a great conversation, but unfortunately, I got to wrap this up because the Commanders
Mm-hmm.
are getting ready to play and our
Mm-hmm.
viewers are going to drop. So I'm gonna
They
go
are. So
ahead and
let's wrap it up.
play this one clip that I definitely wanted to play because Coach just touched on something that I want him to hear from this clip. So you know,
It sound like
super.
a setup. You know what I mean? It
You
sound
know
like we
what? It
said.
wasn't a setup until you just said what you said. So
Hey
now,
man.
it is a setup. You're right. It's a little bit of one, but I didn't know you was gonna say that. But here we go. All right, let me make sure it's
It
still
sound
moving.
like a
Oh,
Before
setup.
God ever next levels you, he separates you. Stop calling it loneliness. You're not alone, you've been separated. Now listen, God separates us for three reasons. Number one, anytime God separates you, it's because I want to give you the tools necessary for your destiny. That's the first
Mm.
reason I've separated you. You're not alone, boo-boo. You've been separated. The second reason that God separates you is because I want you to clearly know my voice. You're surrounded by too many voices to where you can't hear my voice from the coach's voice to your friend's voice to your bae's voice to your mama's voice. I need you to know my voice. So I'm gonna put you in a season where I could train you and teach you how to know my voice. And the third reason that God separates us, which is my personal favorite, he separates us to make us unrecognizable to the people who only knew us by our wound. Before God ever next
Mm.
levels.
Mm.
there you go.
Wow. Wow. That's a word.
All right, who want to
Yeah.
comment on that first? And who want to go first?
I let coach go first.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
Coach.
wow for that.
That
Yeah,
was a word.
y'all wild for that. Y'all wild for that one. Yeah, it's definitely the season that I'm in right now, right? And in all honesty, I think I am recognizing that. You know what I mean? That's what is kind of needed. You know what I mean? I just I think that it's still tough. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's still tough. You know what I'm saying, to kind of deal with. You know what I'm saying? No, you know that it's going to work out for your good. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? But like he said, you know what I mean? There are things that I look back over, I say the past 6 or 7 years. So, honestly, in full disclosure, since my mom passed, right, which was 2018, um, like hearing his voice and recognizing his voice, um, has at times been difficult. You know what I mean? And kind of understanding like what paths I should take and shouldn't take. But I think that the separation will definitely, you know what I'm saying, when based on what he's saying, when he starts, he separated me from some things that I loved a couple years ago, right? Intentionally. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And they weren't bad things. They were good things. Like I stopped coaching 2.5 years ago, right? Um, and you know what I mean? He said, you know, so and it's been some other things in life that he's kind of separated me from, and it's just kind of understanding, you know what I'm saying? The thing that I struggle with is the fact that um how long am I going to be separated from it? You know what I
mhm,
mean? Or how long is it going to take for me to, you know what I'm saying, get to where he wants me to be? Because I
mhm,
already know the end result of, you know what I'm saying. I've already know what the end result is going to be. That I'm gonna be a better person. I'm gonna be, you know what I'm saying, a better man of God. I already know that that's the end result. But you know what I mean. I am a solutions person. I am a path person. I am this, and so I just gotta be reminded that in these situations that that I'm in, um that hey, he has to get all the glory when it's all said and done.
mhm,
You know what I mean? So there's not much that I'm going to be able to do, you know what I mean, to ensure that he gets all the glory besides focusing on him.
mhm.
All right. Lady K?
That
Uh,
yeah, that was very powerful. Separating yourself. It's hard, especially like you said, from loved ones and friends and things like that um that may not understand or may not be on your journey or fall off. And it's gotta be okay. I think one of the hardest things with that is me at about a year or so ago praying is, God, not my will, but your will be done. And we hear that it's scripture, but that is so hard to do because when
Hmm.
you really fall into that and then folks start falling off or your prayers aren't answered, it's hard. But you gotta stay in it because again, his will is not always your will. Just because you want it really, really bad. Another quick transparent moment. Me and my husband struggled for 14, 15 years having a child. And we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I've prayed and I prayed and I fasted, I prayed and we just did not conceive. And I'm like, okay, God, like, first I went through, I'm being punished in my head. I'm all in my head, been punished. I was doing something wrong and something in my past, and I did a lot of wrong. So I'm like, I'm being punished for this. I'm being punished for that. I was dirty doing this. I did it. So God punishing me now, and it really at the end of it, I believe God let me do all that, and I really started praying like, okay, God, whatever your will is, you see, Coach, like you said, you see the end, whatever the end goal is for me, or whatever my path is, you know better than I do, and so you see something clearly that I don't see because I've been seeing I want more children, and it's been a struggle to live in that not my will but your will be done, and when that will is not what you really want, what you want, but submitting to God, and that surrender, that's been my word for this year, is surrender and believe. And it's hard, it's really hard to surrender to God, but he is the creator and he is the one who knows best. um and it's not always easy going down that path. It's not always easy being separated out, being singled out, being lonely, um, when you're doing what you're called to do. But it's so necessary and it's worth it.
yeah, yeah. Two biggest things to me was definitely the during the separation, getting rid of the other voices.
Yeah.
For me, that was a difficult thing, including my own. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
And
Including mine.
that's a struggle. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And because your own voice is always the most dangerous.
yep, yes. And
You
that's
I
know
had
it.
that
to
that
do with that, Rodney. That one of the things that I had to change for myself is I would run to my friends first before I run to God. When I needed something, or I wanted to, oh, should I do this or should I do that? Or I'm thinking about this, or this don't sound, and I would go to people before I would sit and listen to what God has. And that was a struggle. Besides
hmm
getting out of my own head, is those voices. Is not only like hearing negative voices or just hearing other people's opinions about stuff, but even just running to people for their advice or their opinion on this, that, and the third, or whatever you're trying to do is also not always a great thing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Struggle.
But yeah, for me it was definitely that, but I definitely did feel that going through that definitely helps me now with hearing God's voice a lot clearer. You know what I'm saying? And it also made it so that, I talk about it openly that that one of the things that I struggled with that I really had to learn and change and took me a long time to do was I had to stop making my wife my God.
Hmm.
And that was something that,
Hmm.
because as a husband, you want your wife to be these things, but there's a huge difference between your wife, your companion, and going to your wife and expecting her to solve your problem.
Hmm.
And for me, that was something that I struggled with. And I talked about it openly when we went to a relationship conference, and they talked about making your wife your God, and I was confused. I was like, what do you mean? I can't, what do you mean by making her my God? This, that, and other. But anyway, it took me a while to do that. And a lot of people don't realize that they make their husband or their wife their God. Like, instead of going to God, they go to, like you said, their wife or their husband and expect them to solve the problem when you needed to go to God.
Hmm.
So, that's one of the big issues that I had to deal with and I work with. And now, I love my wife and we work together, but I'm looking for God's answer. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking
Right.
for God's answer. And to be honest with you, it took a huge weight off of her
Yeah.
because, now she knows, that I'm not sitting here because I'm looking for her to fix my problem. I'm
Yeah.
like, nah, you got to do this, you got to do that. And when you put somebody on that pedestal, that's unfair to them, let
Yeah.
alone yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not gods, they're sinners
Right.
just like you. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Just like you. So
Yep.
anyway, that was something that I had to deal with. Let's get ready to get into this. Let's get into these picks real quick and get this. Hey, Kendra, I do want to say this. I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you having this conversation with us and things
Thank
like
you
that.
for
Now,
having me.
I'm a love to get you on future when we have different conversations. With others. Like I had you on when we did the myth of being a strong black woman, right? You was on that one,
Yes.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So those type of topics that we handle and hit. So I definitely appreciate you've always come on here and shed some light. I can't wait to make the reels. You know what I'm saying? And put them out there. And
Thank
I'm
you.
just
Thank
so
you.
grateful. And I want to say this to you because I've never said it before. And I'll be honest with you. If I did say it before, I was probably lying then. But I am so thankful that my wife has you as a friend and as a
Oh.
sister. And I can honestly say that there was times that I feel like there might have been secret turmoil between us. But even if it wasn't for you, I'll say it. I had some issues, but but now I'm so grateful for you and where you are now and how you're just a shining light, even for my daughter, even for the people that the people that we do know what you call it. So I do want to let you know that for me, I've seen your change and I've seen what you're doing
Thank
and keep
you.
on going down that path. I'm proud of you. I'm
Thank you. Thank
proud to call you a friend, even though you're a Cowboys fan. But I just want to say that I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for your journey with God. I'm thankful for, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do next. You have a friend and a supporter here, no matter what it is.
Thank you so
And
much. Thank you.
except for these picks, because I'm sure you're about to give me some terrible picks.
I think I did good the last time. Whatever. Let's see.
I don't think so, because but we're gonna go ahead and get these picks in so we can watch this terrible football game that's about to happen where Kansas City is just going to destroy the Commanders. But we'll I ain't gonna lie, I don't got no hope on this game.
I need
So let me pull up this week's picks. Coach, you got the picks? You're muted, Coach, if you're talking.
Hold on, I got him.
All right.
All right,
Hey.
here we go. 49ers. That game's trash. Vikings versus Lions.
Vikings versus Lions. Lions are predicted to win by 8.5 points. They're playing at Detroit too. Kendra said Lions. Coach.
Yep.
I say Lions.
Yeah, I'm saying Lions too.
Yeah, that's
all
easy.
Right. Next.
Hold on. The next one is Colts versus Steelers. Y'all already know who I'm picking.
The Steelers lost this week, right? Yeah, they lost to who they just played. I can't remember who they just played. Packers, didn't it? Yeah, they lost to the Packers. Yeah. My fantasy did good. So, all right, they have the Colts to win by 3. They are playing at Pittsburgh. Almost kind of like a pick 'em. Colts. All right.
Yep.
That'll be the Colts. Believe it or not, I was going to pick the Colts anyway, but Coach is on this Colts kick right now. That's his new team, which he'll switch up. Last year was the Eagles, so you see where he goes with his picks. I ain't saying nothing, but I'm saying it.
Who are y'all picking? The Colts? Because the Colts got the best record in the league. That's a shout out for Nash, by the way. And who else was on that call? Somebody else was on that call.
Can we get to these picks, please, sir?
Yeah,
thank you. Stay focused, man. Stay focused, sir. Stay focused.
Texas. I'm making this easy for y'all this week.
Broncos.
Molly was on that.
Yeah, Molly was on there. He sure was. Molly, you listening too? You was another one. But we calling you this week.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Broncos and Texans.
Broncos.
Y'all both got Broncos?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Broncos going
It's a pick 'em, but they got the Texans to win.
Then we got, of course, go our team. Seahawks at the Commanders. Seahawks.
Hold on, let me look at this real quick.
Nobody want to hit that.
They're not letting me pick it because the Commanders are playing right now.
Nobody want to hit that. Let them pick it.
They're not letting me pick it, bro.
Of course they not. All right, Chiefs at the Bills. Well, they ain't gonna let you pick that one either.
Bills.
I say Bills too. But let's go. I'm gonna give you another easy one. Panthers at the Packers. You ain't gonna win no money this week because all the good games, the 2 good games, 2 of the teams are playing now.
What about the Bears and the Bengals?
Yeah, the Bears, the Bengals. Well, that's a trash game. Yeah, the Bears are going to win.
I'm just trying to pick closer games than.
Yeah, the Bears are going to win it.
All right, so I'm picking the Bears in that one.
And then go Cardinals Cowboys since she put her hat on.
Come on now.
Kendra put her hat on. Cardinals Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Y'all gonna make me press that button for real?
Yep. Yeah. For sure. Just because it's this week. And because Molly Mall and Steve and Nash dog me about my Colts.
All right, my $20 bet is gonna win me $204. We'll see what.
Did you do the 49ers and the Giants?
Nah, we only do 5 games.
So you only did 5. Okay.
Yeah, I did the Cowboys versus the Cardinals. The Cowboys. I did Detroit versus the Vikings. Detroit. I did the Colts versus Pittsburgh. Colts. I did Chicago versus the Bengals, Chicago, and I
Gotcha.
did Denver versus Houston, Denver. And yeah, that's the bets for this week. I'll post them out. I want to thank you again for everybody in the comments. Please make sure you like and subscribe to Dad Mentality. I got some great guys coming up soon. In November, we got Kevin Hughes going to join us. Who's written a book. Vance has the book. Coach, you got the book? All right, Coach ain't there. Well, we'll talk about it next time. He'll be joining us on the 10th, and then I got another gentleman who will be joining us.
I do have that book.
Yeah,
we
ended the show.
It's a really good book. You know what I mean? I've read through the first section, and I've already started to do the
It's called The Man and His Purpose, right? What's it called? I can't remember the name, but I don't want to butcher it.
The Soul of a Man.
The Soul of a Man. Okay. Yeah. So it's this gentleman be joining us. You get to hear his story, and it's going to be great. That'll be November 10th, and we got some more great things coming on. Make sure y'all follow, like, and subscribe at Dad Mentality. Drop the link for the ladies podcast that is further up. I will re-drop it again for the ladies podcast that was up here by Perfectly Imperfect. Put it there. It's right there. There's the link. But if you just go into our comments, you can find it up there. And definitely follow the link. Definitely watch that episode. That episode was amazing. I am starting the petition. It's going to be the first signature for you and Imperfectly Perfect to start your own podcast together and talk more about women involving in the things that y'all are doing and stuff like that. I think it's amazing. I think y'all both have great stories. Y'all both have great personalities and everything coming together. Like I said, as a male watching that episode, I related to a lot of the things that y'all both talked about and thought it was a very, very great thing. I would have thought y'all would have been y'all had been doing a podcast together for years. So,
the first one.
yeah, and it was fantastic. And yes, and Wynn just said, let's go. So I hope y'all do more. And I'm definitely a fan and a follower. So, but we're gonna go ahead and end this show. Have a good night. Thank y'all for joining us again with another episode of Dad Mentality. Until we see y'all next Monday. God bless. Good night.
Night.